안녕하세요 시청자 여러분, 엑지입니다. 오늘은 크루시블 리그 이제 라이브 스트림이 있었죠. 저는 생방은 못 봤는데 막 일어나가지고 보려고 하거든요. 그러니까 이제 보면서 얘기를 조금 해보려고 합니다. 저도 지금 이제 처음 본 거라서 거기에다가 자다 일어나가지고 좀 횡설수설할 수도 있는데 그냥 영상 같이 본다 생각하시면 될 것 같네요.
In Path of Exile Crucible, you'll learn about an ancient race of titans who once shaped the primordial surface of Rayclust. In this league, you will earn the ability to forge their power onto your weapons.
약간 다른 신화에 나오는 거인족, 티탄 같은 그런
And
거
what form
같네요.
does that power take? In an iconically Path of Exile way, it's the ability to imbue your weapons with their own passive skill trees.
아이템에 이렇게 패시브 스킬 트리가 생겨가지고 이거를 할당할 수 있게 하는 컨텐츠인 것 같습니다.
These Crucible trees can have quite an impact on your character build. For example, in addition to the regular mods on this bow, its Crucible tree grants additional physical damage, physical to chaos conversion, the Master Fletcher notable passive, improved grace effect, and level 10 lesser multiple projectiles. While this is certainly a decent tree to get, it's not even the maximum depth and could be even more optimized.
이것만 봐도 이미 너무 좋은 무기죠. 일단 무기만 하더라도 7링크도 가능하고 하는 거 보니까.
In order to forge these powerful trees onto your weapons, you'll need to complete Crucible encounters. There's one in each area. Each encounter takes place at a Crucible forge. As you approach the forge, you'll have the choice of which of your equipped weapons you want to focus on. This can include ones on your alternate weapon swap if you want to improve one you're not currently using. After selecting a weapon, you channel it at the Crucible forge to spawn monsters. The longer you channel for, the more dangerous and rewarding the encounter becomes.
끼고 있는 아이템 중에서, 그러니까 무기 중에서 저렇게 이제 들어가면은 할당을 할 수가 있는데, 누르고 있는 시간만큼 여기 이게 게이지가 차나 보네요. 그렇게 해가지고 게이지가 차는 만큼 몬스터가 강력해진다 라고 보면 될 것 같습니다. 그럼 못 잡으면은 안 되는 건가?
As you spawn additional monsters, they combine together to create larger and more fearsome foes that grant even more experience for your Crucible passive tree. Being able to ramp up the difficulty of the encounters is a double-edged sword. While it gives you the opportunity to make rapid progress on your Crucible weapon crafting projects, it comes with significant risk to your character. It's easy to accidentally overwhelm yourself and make an encounter that is too dangerous. Channel carefully and adapt to what your character is capable of.
스펙만 되면은 좀 한 번에 쭉 인카운터 집중해가지고 최대한 좀 많이 올릴 수도 있나 보네요.
Significant risk. The opportunity being able to ramp up the difficulty.
이렇게 보면은 이제 단계마다 이렇게 올릴 수 있는 것 같네요.
Double-edged sword that is too dangerous. First, find a weapon. It doesn't have a Crucible tree unlocked. Channeling that weapon at Crucible encounters will unlock and reveal its tree, as well as allocate.
아이템을 주었을 때 이제 이 어디냐? 아이템을 집었을 때 여기 표시가 나는데 이 표시를 눌려가지고 이제 집중 유지를 하면은 어떤 패시브 트리가 있는지 알 수 있겠네요. 이렇게 되면은 액트 단계에서든 아니면은 매핑 단계에서든 내가 사용할 만한 무기라면은 무조건 주어서 확인을 해봐야 되지 않을까 생각이 듭니다. 트리 깊이는 1단계, 2단계, 3단계, 4단계 이런 식으로 진행되는 것 같네요. 그렇게 해가지고 1, 2, 3, 4 중에서 이제 트리가 막 여러 개 있을 수 있잖아요. 그 중에서 골라서 찍어야 되는 거인 것 같습니다. 거기에다 연결된 것만 찍을 수 있는 것 같고.
As you get deeper into a tree, more and more experience is required to unlock skills.
약간 마지막 같은 경우에는 이게 어느 정도를 요구하는지 모르겠는데 상당히 투자를 많이 해야 될 수도 있겠다는 생각이 드네요. 스컬지 리그에서 도가니 채우는 거를 생각해 봤을 때 약간 그런 식으로 좋은 아이템이라든지 아니면 진짜 마지막 깊이 5단계, 6단계 이렇게까지 진행이 된다면 아주 오래 매핑을 좀 많이 해야 된다든지 그렇지 않을까요? 근데 도가니 때는 솔직히 선 좀 넘었었는데 이거는 무기마다 있는 거라서 그렇게까지는 안 높을지도.
They can only be found rarely on endgame items, but also have some of the most powerful properties. For example, this wand has 2 depth 5 skills to choose from. One of them allows all damage from your freezing pulse and Eye of Winter skills to poison, and the other allows various brands to be attached to your summoned Reaper. There are many such modifiers to skills that will enable very interesting build combinations. In addition to all types of weapons, shields can also be empowered with their own
방패도
crucible
가능하네요.
traits. Here's a relatively
화살통은 안
simple
되나?
low-level example. It gets a bit crazier as you approach the endgame.
방패는 잼이
Speaking of
꽂히니까
the endgame,
가능하려나?
in endgame Crucible encounters, you'll occasionally find igneous geodes, currency items that can be cracked open to reveal a primeval remnant. This is a map-like item that grants access to the Forge of the Titans, the culmination of your Crucible journey.
이게 이제 이번 시즌 엔드 컨텐츠인 것 같네요.
These
거신의
primeval remnants
대장간으로
always generated
갈
rare
수 있는
items.
아이템.
Half of their mods are upsides and half are downsides. The upsides generally increase the rewards of the area or add special crafting options. For example, causing monsters to drop divination cards or magmatic ore, a form of tradable itemized Crucible tree experience. The downsides are quite punitive compared to most in-game maps. Ideally, you want to find a primeval remnant that is really rewarding upsides alongside downsides you can handle. If you don't think you'll survive a visit to the Forge of the Titans, trade the remnant away to someone else and gamble on cracking open another geode. If you survive and manage to reach the end of the area, you'll find the aforementioned Forge, which allows you to merge Crucible trees on two items together. The way this process works is that you provide two items of the same class. For example, a pair of bows, a pair of shields, or a pair of one-hand axes. One of these items will be melted down and applied to the other, which will keep its regular properties. Their Crucible trees will be merged together in an unpredictable way.
실현, 그러니까 무기에 들어있는 거를 합칠 수가 있는데 무작위로 반영이 되기도 하고 거기에다가 둘 중 하나는 랜덤하게 사라진다는 것 같죠.
Their Crucible trees will be merged together.
그렇게 되면 이 트리가 정확하게 어떻게 나올지는 예측을 할 수가 없고
taking elements of each one. This is a little reminiscent of how recombinators applied to item mods, taking parts of each Crucible tree and merging them together, as well as randomly upgrading, downgrading, or mutating skills on the resultant tree.
그러니까 이 두 개 중에서 녹아내리는 거는 이제 아래쪽으로 랜덤하게 합쳐지고 밑에 있는 게 지금 살아남은 거잖아요. 그럼 밑에 있는 거는 기존에 가지고 있었던 것도 그대로 가지고 있고 위에 있는 게 녹아서 이제 들어오면서 랜덤하게 추가되었다라고 볼 수 있겠네요. 근데 이렇게 되면은 무조건 뭐 좋은 거에다가 원하는 거를 넣기에도 좀 애매해지는 게 하나가 랜덤하게 사라지기 때문에 웬만하면은 둘 다 유효고 합쳐지면 더욱더 웬만하면은 둘 다 유효인 옵션을 굳이 할 필요 없나? 아니지. 둘 다 유효인 옵션을 해야지 둘 중 하나라도 살아남았을 때 기대를 해볼 수 있다는 점에서 그 부분은 좀 참고를 해봐야 될 것 같네요.
While this process can create some really powerful trees if you get skills you wanted from both items, it can also completely wreck your precious trees, so take care choosing which you risk combining. Also, like recombinators, there are ways to manipulate the system to improve your odds at getting certain outcomes. For example, any skills that have been allocated are more likely to show up in the resultant Crucible tree. By default, you can only add Crucible trees to non-unique items. But it's possible to get a mod on the Forge of the Titans map that allows you to imbue a unique item with a Crucible.
일반적으로 유니크 무기 같은 경우에는 그냥 줍는다고 해서 이 실현 트리가 활성화되지는 않는다는 것 같네요. 하지만 거신의 대장간 지도에서 이 그러니까 고유 무기에다가 이 실현 트리를 활성화할 수 있는 방법이 있는 것 같습니다. 이렇게 되면은 고유 무기들도 좀 떡상할 수도 있겠는데 좋은 옵션은.
I probably shouldn't say too much about it, but it will let you do some interesting things with Crucible trees. There's an important thing to note about Crucible trees on unique weapons. In addition to being much harder to unlock, there's a special rule about how they can be combined. A unique weapon must be combined with another copy of the same unique.
고유 무기 자체에다가 이제 패시브 트리를 할당하는 것도 난이도가 조금 높은데 거기에다가 또 그 패시브 트리를 합칠 거면은 똑같은 고유 무기, 그러니까 패시브 트리가 할당된 똑같은 고유 무기를 또 두 개 넣어가지고 이 중에서 하나는 살아남고 하나는 남는데 거기에 랜덤으로 부여가 된다, 뭐 이런 거인 것 같네요. 고유 무기로 이제 할 거면은 사실 쉽지 않을 것 같습니다. 거기에다가 아찌리의 도끼로 예시를 들긴 했는데 뭐 별의 탄생이라든지 무효화라든지 그런 거를 합칠 거면은 또 똑같은 거에다가 패시브 트리를 또 부여해가지고 합쳐야 되다 보니까 확실히 고유 무기로 엔드급을 만들 수도 있겠지만 그만큼
It may
난이도는
also
훨씬
raise the trade value
높겠네요.
of all unique weapons by quite a lot, as players sacrifice them trying to create perfect Crucible trees. Occasionally, you'll find a Crucible passive skill tree with a special skill that indicates that the item will sell to vendors for a specific item in addition to its regular sale price. These vendor skills usually occur relatively
뭐 판매하면은 디바인 오브를 준다는 건데 이런 식으로 또 전혀 뭐 어떻게 보면 합해나 그러니까 재화랑은 또 관계가 없을 것 같은 템들인데 알지? 합해나 이런 거랑은 또 관계 없을 것 같은 컨텐츠인데 이런 식으로 또 뭐 중요한 가치는 얻을 수 있게 해놨네요.
deeply in the tree, so take some effort to allocate, but usually don't block skill choices you'd make.
근데 반대로 얘기하자면 디바인 오브나 뭐 진짜 뭐 막 나가서는 거울, 미러를 줄 수도 있긴 하겠지만은 반대로 얘기하자면 이 컨텐츠를 통해서는 뭐 일반적인 카오스 오브라든지 이런 재화는 조금 얻기가 힘들 수도 있겠다. 그러니까 이번 시즌은 또 초반부에 상당히 사람들이 가난하게 시작할 수도 있겠다라는 생각이 드네요.
When leveling the item up for use. The presence of these skills presents you with an interesting choice about whether you want to use the item or sell it to a vendor, and whether you want to spend your Crucible experience either revealing new trees to hunt for good skills, leveling up items to use, or leveling up items to sell. Crucible also features its own unique items you can earn. For example, El Abin's Visage, a unique helmet, is special in that it's the only armor piece other than shields that can receive Crucible
Can have a Crucible 패시브 스킬 트리. 그냥 얻을 수 있다. 이 헬멧에 이제 크루시블 스킬 트리가 붙는다라는 것 같네요. 이 헬멧 자체. 이제 이번 리그는 무기에만 붙일 수가 있는데 이거는 헬멧인데 그러니까 투구인데도 특별히 이거를 붙일 수 있는 유일한 템을 만들었나 보네요.
Wearing it allows you to double down on certain properties that are only available through these trees. There are several other unique items exclusive to Crucible for you to discover in this league. Crucible is a dual combat crafting league with a focus on encounter difficulty scaling and deep weapon customization with a power level that we have never seen before. Without a doubt, some of Path of Exile's most powerful weapons will be forged in Crucible. We can't wait to see what you manage to create. Like all recent Path of Exile
무기 제작 리그 아주 기대됩니다.
expansions, Crucible includes a lot of changes with the goal of improving Path of Exile's endgame. One
엔드게임
area we wanted to
변하네요.
address was mobility on the Atlas passive tree. Often you'll find yourself in a situation where you want to specialize in leagues that are entirely
이거 솔직히 좀 문제가 있어요. 저 같은 경우에는 이제 이번에는 재단도 바뀌었잖아요. 그래서 포식자 재단을 돌면서 저는 의식을 좋아하니까 의식을 하고 싶은데 의식이나 이런 게 이쪽에 몰려 있고 포식자는 이쪽에 있고 뭐 이런 식으로 되어 있다 보니까 사실 찍으러 가는 게 상당히
different sides
불편했거든요.
of the Atlas tree. Or maybe you want to focus on the type of altar that isn't near the leagues you have picked. To solve this, Path of Exile Crucible introduces Atlas gateways. These are nodes that you can allocate on the Atlas tree that allow instant travel between two locations. There are 3 pairs of gateways, each allowing travel from the left side of the tree to the right side or vice versa. Each end of the gateway consumes 1 Atlas skill point to allocate, but will potentially save you large amounts of travel points.
좋습니다. 이게 수학 같은 거를 하면서 에센스도 하고 싶은데 이게 수학 쪽을 찍으면서 에센스를 찍으면은 노드 낭비가 엄청 심해지거든요. 그런 거를 좀 할 수 있게 해줬네요. 뭐 수학 쪽을 찍으면서 의식을 같이 찍는다든지 이런 식으로 할 수 있게, 뭐 역병을 찍으면서 탐험을 찍는다든지, 이거는 아주 갓 패치인 것 같습니다. 이왕이면은 좀 죽은 애들도 살려주면 좋겠는데.
In this expansion, we're targeting a couple of endgame leagues that have fallen behind other leagues on the Atlas tree. Let's start with Breach. In the Y version of Path of Exile, there are 5 tiers of Breach Stone.
균열도 솔직히 행동 종류가 너무 많긴 해요. 일반부터 해가지고 뭐 순수, 풍부.
Now that the regular breach stones are much higher level, we have retired charged, enriched, and pure breach stones.
가운데가 아예 텅 비네. 일반 균일성이랑
We have
이것만
also
나오네.
changed how
결합
flawless
없는
breach
분이었어.
stones are acquired. Previously, you could only get them from Maven invitations, but we prefer access to the hardest breach content to actually come from playing breach. Now there are 2 ways to get flawless breach stones: through blessings, which are now rarer as a result.
이거 이런 식으로 만들 수 있으면은 상당히 괜찮은데요? 일단 결함 없는 뭐 균열석 런이라든지 그런 거 하기에도 훨씬 쉬워질 것 같고.
And through a skill on the Atlas tree.
아 근데 축복을 획득할 확률이 떨어졌으니까 그만큼 축복 값이 많이 오르겠다.
We've also improved the pacing of breach encounters. Previously, breaches felt pretty good early on, but quickly tapered off in density to the point where you wanted to abandon the
이것도
breach
좀
because it
문제가
just
있죠.
felt like not enough monsters were
균열이
spawning.
처음에 열릴 때는 좁게 시작하니까 괜찮은데 이게 넓어지면 넓어질수록 몹들을 잡을 거면 반대편으로 가서 잡아야 되고 이러다 보니까 그런 부분이 조금 별로였는데
There are a whole bunch of other
어느 정도
breach changes
개선을
that you can
해주네요.
read about in the patch notes, such as changes to the Betrayal Research Safe House, Breach Scarabs, Breach Stones from Keurig missions, the Breach Harvest crafting option, the Fragment Stash tab, Divination cards, Breach unique items, Atlas passives, and so on.
일단 좋아요
We're
눌려놔요.
also revamping Abyss in a similar way.
오 심연도
Abyssal
솔직히 좀
depths now
바뀌면
always
좋지.
contain an Abyssal Lich.
오 심연지하에
Previously, the prevailing gameplay was to check the loading screen art of an Abyssal Depths to see if it contained a Lich, and bail out if it didn't. Now, the depths always contain a Lich,
리치가
removing the need
무조건
for the step.
등장하니까 이제
While the rate of
어떻게
encountering
보면은
Abyssal Liches is
이번
unchanged,
시즌도
Abyssal depths are
아마나무의
rarer than
주얼이
before.
비쌀라나?
However,
아마나무 주얼이
Abysses now
엄청
have a chance to
비싸잖아요.
spawn a Stygian Spire in place of their reward chest, which will drop all of the jewels and other items you'd normally receive, as well as a Stygian.
아마나무 주얼이 비쌌는데 이번에는 리치가 계속 나오니까 그래도 가격이 좀 떨어지지 않을까 싶은 생각도 듭니다. 거기에다가 명계의 조임새도 이번에 그것만 잘하면 괜찮을 것 같네요. 원래 시즌 초에 시면은 명계의 조임새 팔아가지고 돈을
In
벌거든요.
addition, you're guaranteed to always get a 4-hole Abyss alongside your Abyssal Depths. Previously, Abyssal Depths could only spawn immediately after a single Abyssal hole, which prevented you from getting full value from the Abyss. The Lightless Legion notable.
그러니까 시면 구멍이 원래 한 곳 다 처치하면 쭉 가서 또 생기고 쭉 가서 또 생기고 이러는데 이번에는 그냥 구멍이 다 생성된 상태라는 건가? 이렇게 되면은 모팩을 늘릴 수 있으니까 시면 쪽을 가는 것도 충분히 고려해 볼 만한
Has been
상황이
replaced with a
되겠네요.
new skill which grants Stygian Spires in your maps drop items with +1 to item level. This is intended to allow players to continue to be able to obtain item level 86 Stygian Vices and other base types as a reward for specializing in
86레벨
Abyss.
명계
The small
조임새도
passives
조금
leading
더
up to this
얻기
notable passive
쉽게
have also been replaced.
해주는 것 같네. 근데 진짜 시즌 초반에는 시면에 대한 그 영향력이 생겼어요. 다른 컨텐츠에 비해서.
Lich encounters to make them more appropriately difficult relative to the current standard of endgame encounters. Abyss uniques have had some balance attention also, and the details.
시면 고유 아이템도 바뀌었대.
Overall, these changes
헐.
ensure you can play a wider variety.
솔직히 시면 고유 아이템 옵션이 좀 너무 옛날 옵션들이라 잘 안 쓰였는데 이번에 옵션이 바뀌었다면은 충분히 시면 고유 아이템들을 이용한 빌드라든지 이런 것도 충분히 생각해 볼 만 하겠네요.
Leaks in the endgame, both through being able to access them more easily and because Breach and Abyss now feel far more modern and competitive with other popular.
그지 시면이랑 균열이야 뭐 좀 많이 했지만
A
시면은
big goal
너무
of the
버려지긴
Crucible
했어.
expansion is to provide a lot of new ways to build characters and to breathe new life into older builds.
To achieve this, we're doing two things. Firstly, we have created many more interesting options for one of Path of Exile's core build systems, the passive skill tree, by overhauling many of its masteries. Secondly, we have revamped two
이거
specific ascendant
숙련 옵션이 바뀐다는 거죠? 이거는 나중에 바뀐 거 한번 봐야겠네.
classes. As we reviewed the masteries on Path of Exile's passive skill tree, we realized that a lot of the choices were rather bland and could be a lot more exciting. We went through the masteries one by one and tried to come up with as many interesting stats as we could, ignoring what was currently there.
Once we had a short list of high-quality stats, we added in the existing ones that used to be on each mastery and picked the 6 best. All of the leftover ones have been saved for later or used in places like unique items. This process was performed on approximately half of the masteries on the tree, initially targeting the ones that needed the attention the most. Previously, some masteries only had 4 options, so we've tried to increase as many as possible to 6 options. We've also added a couple of new mastery types that we felt were missing.
이렇게 되면은 숙련을
Let's look
선택할
at an
때에도
example, the life
상당히
mastery choices. You can see some
고려를
of the interesting
해야겠네요.
new options, such as the ability to manipulate your low life and full life thresholds, which allows you to more effectively use the damage while on.
생명력이 최대일 때 하고 로우 라이프일 때 그거를 바꿔주는 것들이 생겼네요. 이런 것도 어떻게 보면은 충분히 쓸만하겠죠. 생명력이 최대일 때 뭐 아이템 효과라든지 그런 거를 90% 이상만 돼도 쓸 수 있게 한다든지 이런 거는 생각보다 빌드나 그런 거에 따라서는 괜찮지 않을까.
Getting a large increase to maximum life when you have no life on your body armor not only works really well with a whole lot of
이것도 괜찮아 보이네요.
unique items. Maximum life when you have no
그러면은 이렇게 되면 꼭 막 갑옷에다가 생명력을 붙이기 위해서 노력을 안 해도 된다든지, 아니면은 아이템을 제작했는데 생명력 대신 딴 게 붙더라도 그걸 어느 정도 커버해 줄 수 있는 그런 마스터리가 생겼다라고 볼 수 있겠네요. 금방 얘기한 것처럼 고유 아이템에는 생명력이 안 붙어있는 그 갑옷이 생각보다 많거든요. 그런 것들은 좀 아쉬웠는데 그거를 조금 해소시켜주는 것 같네요.
The other thing we focused on with this one is tying the mechanics together better.
이런 거는 또 숙련을
energy shield, we've tried to make sure each really
또 찬찬히 살펴봐야 되겠는데.
and energy shield. On the Leech Mastery, we've combined the 3 increased life mana and energy shield recovery stats into one choice that affects all of them. The space we've freed up has been used to add some powerful new options, such as a portion of your leech applying instantly. The Spell Suppression Mastery also has many interesting options. Your chance to suppress spell damage becoming lucky is extremely useful before you've optimized your gear and haven't reached 100% yet. The third option rewards you for stacking more than 100% spell suppression, which previously had few benefits. Now it's something you can plan your itemization around.
주문 억제 마스터리 쪽도 저는 이번에 레인저로 할 거라서 주문 억제를 어쨌든 100%를 맞추는 걸로 목표를 했는데 거기에 조금 더 도움이 될 수 있겠네요.
We also wanted to grant more access to certain types of masteries in specific parts of the passive skill
그래도
tree.
이번에 패시브 트리에 대한 뭐 그런 변경은 없나?
To the attack mastery, we've added an attack cluster by the Templar and one between the Ranger and Shadow.
오,
We wanted to create more access to other forms of recovery such as regen and recoup.
뭐가
So we've
조금
added some new
추가되긴
passive
했네.
skill clusters. Note that there is now a new mastery called Recovery.
회복
We've
회복
also added
같은
more
것도
capacity
많이
for
쓰이지.
investment in certain mechanics that we felt could be improved, such as link skills, stun mitigation, and marks.
연결
These
같은 거
mastery
쓰겠나
improvements
모르겠다.
and passive tree changes are just some of the ones introduced in Path of Exile.
그런 이제 마크, 징표 옵션 같은 경우에는 사실
We look forward to your
가까우면은
feedback on
좀
the rest
찍을만
when you
하죠.
check out the passive skill tree next week. While going through ascendancy classes, we identified 2 that needed work: the
사보초
Saboteur
앞에
and the
서 있는 아니
Pathfinder.
치프티는 어디 갔냐고. 아니 치프티는 개선 안 해?
Both have been significantly changed in Path of Exile Crucible.
치프티는
These
맨날
changes
웃기만 해.
reinforce their respective identities while adding some new options to build around. The Saboteur is definitely the ascendancy class most aligned with traps and mines, but the old version of the Saboteur made it difficult to play anything but traps or mines. The new version has more builds available, including a whole new specialization, triggers. There are 2 notable passives that help with this. Like Clockwork grants you the increased cooldown recovery rate stat,
잘
which is
사용되기
a pretty
전에
rare
해보고
one. This is
COC.
great for triggered spells as it indirectly increases their damage. This notable also makes your enemies have longer
사보초로 약간
cooldowns, which can be
COC라고
useful in certain boss fights.
해준 것
For
같은데?
example, causing the Maven's memory game to occur less often. The Perfect Crime notable passive summons 2 trigger bots, which override the location of where a triggered spell is being cast, and instead causes it to trigger twice, once from each of their locations.
오,
The layout for the Saboteur's trap
이렇게 뒤에 따라다니면서 얘네도 같이 얘네 쪽에서
the layout for their locations.
그러니까 요소도 되고 요소도 되고
The layout for the Saboteur's trap and mine ascendancy
그냥
passives has
COC하라고
changed,
만들어준
so
것
that there aren't
같은데?
separate 4-pointers for traps and mines. Now each one has a 2-pointer that is connected to the same shared 4-pointer. We have also completely reworked Bomb Specialist to be specifically tied to area damage, so it's a slightly more general skill. It both
범위
gives
피해
use of area
증가,
damage as well as some
재사용되기
defense against
생각하고
incoming area damage.
이제 약간
against.
COC 사보추어 COC를
The
해라
Pathfinder has
약간
been
이런 느낌
overdue for some
같은데?
attention, especially with recent features such as concoction skills that she could get the ability to specialize in. We also wanted the Flask-themed Ascendancy to have a proactive way of improving life flask usage. Master Distiller allows you to turn most of your skills into concoction-like effects. Master Surgeon now effectively gives all of your life flasks the Enduring effect, previously only found on mana flasks. Finally, both of the major flask-themed branches now have some form of flask charge recovery. There are other improvements to the Pathfinder Ascendancy, such as Nature's Reprisal, now interacting with Wither to improve all forms of your chaos damage,
모든
rather
카오스?
than just attack forms of it.
이렇게 되면은 뭐 카오스 불볼 같은 거, 그러니까 카오스 주문 스킬 같은 거 쓸 거면 패스파인더 쪽으로
Check out
가야겠네요.
the full details in the patch notes that we'll be posting after the live stream. Path of Exile Crucible introduces 9 new Val skills.
발
Last
스킬이
expansion,
9개나?
there was an emphasis on melee Val skills. In Crucible, we're making sure that many other types of builds get new skills to build around. Val skills let us introduce quite powerful effects that we couldn't normally give to a regular skill that can be used constantly. They also implicitly act as a buff to the underlying skill. Val Absolution upgrades one of your Sentinels of Absolution into an
현재?
Apparition of Innocence. You can only have one apparition at once, but just check out these massive AoE skills it uses.
와 이거 이거 잊고 있던 소환수 빌드에 대한 욕구를 조금 끌어올리네요. 네크로맨서는 죽었나? 솔직히 가디언으로 할 수도 있는데 가디언 이게 진짜 노드가 애매해가지고 근데 좀 간지나는데.
Val Arctic Armor instantly encases you in ice, preventing non-instant actions including movement, but
무적되는
granting
건가?
massive damage reduction against hits. After a short duration, it also starts to regenerate your energy shield and mana at a fast rate. Both the damage reduction and regeneration
난 저런
last for a
스킬
few seconds,
히오스에서
or
본 것
until you have
같은데
been hit 3
아니면
times.
약간
It
존야
cannot be manually
같은
cancelled.
거라고 해야 되나?
Because the skill is instant, it's a great emergency button against dangerous boss
오,
snipes, but also
좋은데?
makes you count as being frozen, despite Arctic Armor normally making you freeze immune. Having another way to self-freeze may be of interest to a few mad
괜찮은데요?
scientists building
이렇게 되면은 한 개 방어구를 꼭 채용한다든지 아니면은 이제 많은 사람들이 쓰는 것처럼 발만 쓰는 형태로 갈 수도 있겠네요. 스킬 잼칸만 남는다면 충분히 사용할 수 있다라고
Val
봅니다.
Lightning Arrow fires a barrage of piercing projectiles
이건-
that cause lightning to strike nearby targets whenever they hit an enemy. After a short amount of time, or when they collide with terrain, their arrows randomly change direction and continue flying. This occurs a number of times before the arrows expire. Each arrow can hit the same target once per redirect. Because
발
the arrows
번지하다
travel
너무
for a set
간지나는데?
time before redirecting, rather than a set distance, projectile speed modifiers affect the distance traveled. High projectile speed lets you clear out huge areas with them, while reducing your projectile speed increases the chance of them hitting the same target multiple times. With very low projectile speed, the skill can hit a single target 20 plus times.
와 원래 번개화살로 스타트 해가지고 번개화살에서 회오리 사격으로 넘어가려고 했는데 이거는 조금 절 고민하게 만드네요. 그냥 처음부터 끝까지 번개화살을 한번 써볼까? 라는 생각이 드는데
Val Reap conjures a ring of scythes that deal damage to all enemies in a circular area. The scythes leave behind a pool of blood that deals heavy physical damage over time to enemies standing in it, and for a short duration after they leave it. Val Reap instantly grants a large number of the blood charges used by normal Reap on use, as well as temporarily higher maximum blood charge capacity, substantially powering up the regular version of the skill.
발 낫지는 좀 맛이
Exile
없다.
Crucible introduces 5 other Val skills we'll reveal over the next week.
발 무기 기동? 이거는 좀 회복 토템은 조금 그렇고 발 무기 기동? 이거는 좀 나의 소환수 빌드의 혼을 또 자극시키는데?
Val Animate Weapon.
발 하얀 폭풍? 어떤 간지일까?
Val Ice Shot, Val Rejuvenation Totem,
너무
and Val
기대되는데?
Firestorm. This expansion also introduces more than 10 new unique items. There are 3 in particular I'd like to show you today. Blood Price is a unique helmet that has a new effect,
저게 생명력
preserving enemy
탭이
maximum
점유한다고?
life. This does exactly what it implies, causing nearby enemies to start at 92% maximum life. While this increases
보스전이나
your
이럴
player
때는
speed against
아주
all enemies, it's
괜찮겠는데?
especially useful against bosses. The helmet's drawback is that it reduces your maximum life, but provides decent life regeneration and block and stun recovery to counteract this. Tainted Pact is an amulet that causes chaos.
근데 사실 그 주변적 피통 92%로 만드는 효과 말고는 좀 쓸 때가 뭐 저항이 있는 것도 아니고 뭐 물론 이제 생명력 재생이 엄청 붙어 있다 보니까 약간 그런 좀 변태 같은 빌드에서는 충분히 쓸만하지 않을까.
The stun recovery to counteract this. Tainted Pact is an amulet that causes chaos damage over time to heal you while you're leeching life. While the amulet provides a decent amount of life leech itself, it'll certainly require a few tricks to unlock its full potential. Widow Hail is a unique bow that is different from any other bow in Path of Exile. As a weapon, it does basically no base damage and doesn't grant any stats of its own, but it does dramatically increase the power of mods provided by your quiver.
화살통에 모든 걸 거는 화살통 어느 정도 화살통이 돼야지 화살통 2개 이상 낀 효과를 보니까 화살통이 어마어마하다면은 뭐 좀 쓸만할 수도 있지 않을까 싶긴 한데 잘 모르겠네요. 제가 화살통에 대한 건 잘 모르겠지만
We will reveal some of the other new uniques over the coming week.
그래도 재밌어 보이는 고유템들이 나오는 거는
Ruthless is a game
확실하네요.
mode that we released alongside the Sanctum expansion late last year. It's designed around extreme item scarcity and is challenging because you're constantly behind the item power curve. So far, it has found a very passionate audience of players who love how rewarding item drops feel in such an austere environment.
이렇게
We have some
무자비를
small
즐기는
improvements to
사람들은
Ruthless
정말
and Path of
무섭단
Exile
말이지.
Crucible. Firstly, Eternal Orbs are back and Ruthless.
무자비 쪽은 살짝 넘어가 볼까요? 저는 무자비를 안 하기 때문에 앞으로도 할 생각이 없고.
We're hosting a boss kill event at the start of the Crucible
보스
challenge.
터치 이벤트.
It'll be held in Ruthless Hardcore Solo Self-Found and will require you to kill both the Uber Searing Exarch and the Uber Eater of Worlds, making it by far the hardest event we have ever run. The first place winner will get to work with our design team to add a new unique item to Path of Exile. They'll also receive a transferable Ultra VIP.
근데 확실히 이런 거는 조금 탐나긴 하는데 저는 하코스 스프에서 우버 보스들을 잡을 정도의 능력은 안 된다라고 저 스스로도 잘 알고 있기 때문에 도저히 못하겠네. 도저히 도전도 못하겠네요.
Or already have a ticket, then they are allowed to sell this one as they see fit. Second and third place finishers will receive a transferable VIP ticket to ExoCon that can also be sold at their discretion. If you'd like to enter the event, just create a character in Ruthless Hardcore Solo Self-Found on launch day. Best of luck to everyone. On the weekend of July 29 to 30 New Zealand time, which is July 28 to 29 for much of the rest of the world,
엑자일콘
we're going to be
후에
hosting ExoCon
3.2가 나온다고
2023 in
하니까
Auckland, New Zealand. While tickets to the in-person event are very hard to get, we'll be streaming the entire event for free. At ExoCon, we'll reveal our latest updates on Path of Exile 2, Path of Exile Mobile, and the next Path of Exile 1 expansion. Make a note in your calendar, tell your friends, and don't miss it. The second day of the Path of Exile livestream culminates in a competitive race event between some of Path of Exile's best players. In order to select the 4 competitors, we're going to run qualifier events during the months of April and May. The winner of each event will receive a VIP ExoCon ticket, return flights to Auckland and accommodation, and will compete in the race event live on stage. All 4 qualifiers in the final event will be run on the 3.21 version of Path of Exile, which has received a fair amount of early game balance work that will change the racing meta quite a lot.
You'll be able to read more in the patch notes. Once 3.21 releases next week, you'll be able to solve the new meta, practice hard, compete in the qualifier events, and hopefully win your place on stage in July.
Alongside Path of Exile Crucible, we're introducing a few new types of microtransactions. An example I wanted to describe today is that of mannequins. These are hideout decorations that you can place to show off sets of microtransactions you have assembled. You can equip them with your spare micros and pose them in various ways. It's also possible to swap your entire outfit with the mannequins, which lets you easily store microsets to be retrieved later.
이런 거 괜찮은 것 같아요. 이게 저도 계속 스킨을 사다 보니까 스킨이 늘어나는데 미리 꾸며놨다가 이제 자랑도 하고 나 이제 원할 때 바로바로 또 스킨을 갈아 끼울 수 있는 아주 이것도 괜찮은 것 같아. 근데 이제 돈 받고 팔겠지?
Include wrapping paper, which lets you gift wrap items to hand to other players, or even drop in town for random people to pick up. Today we're launching 2 new series of supporter packs, the Lithomancer and Enchanter packs. Each tier contains the pack's full face value and points, alongside several exclusive microtransactions. These packs are only available for the duration of the Crucible League, and will leave the store forever when it ends. As always, the microtransactions in these packs are purely cosmetic and do not affect your character's power or progression in any way. The Lithomancer series of supporter packs contains 6 exclusive microtransactions. The Tunnel Bear isn't just adorable, it will also take the place of the Crawler in Delves, lighting your surroundings and laying down cables. Apparently, this is what happens when your bear gets into a kilo of sulfite.
광부들이 껴야 할 그런 거네요.
The Ring of the Demon Slayer attempts to exorcise rare and unique demons when you hit them. The souls of defeated demons are banished to the depths below.
이거 서포터 팩이
The
잘
ancient stone of the
나와도
Lithomancer's
애매한데.
armor set crumbles when you take damage, revealing the crimson core inside. The stone reforms if you haven't taken damage recently.
약간 말파이트 패시브 같네요. 시간 지나면 다시 생기는 게.
granite flask causes a Karui ancestor to appear and surround you in protective wards.
나 이런 거 좋은데. 아, 이번에 그거 코어 서포터 팩 사야 돼가지고 이거 서포터 팩 살 돈이 없는데. 아, 이거 포탈도 난간이
The
나는데?
summoned Karui ancestor rallies you to battle and honestly seems to have an unhealthy obsession with combat.
아, 이런
Ever
거
want to
너무
practice
좋은데.
running away from volatiles? The gunpowder foot attachment straps explosives to your legs, dispersing lit gunpowder behind you. Be careful, you can only outrun it for so long before it catches up.
이거는 좀.
The Enchanter Pack series also has 6 exclusive microtransactions. The Parrot of Exile pet parrots your exile. We'll just let it speak for itself.
It would be wrong to do that here.
I need more mana.
저런 것도
Drinking from the
좋지.
bottled
나는
Storm Jade
재밌죠.
Flask encases you in a surging tornado, churning up the ground in your wake. If you stand perfectly still while wearing the enchanted armor set, it will attract butterflies to flutter around you. Be careful not to disturb them. Sick of high-fiving giant purple appendages? The Ritualist's Breach Ring visually transforms breaches you find into a
이제는
cult
컨텐츠
summon.
외형을 바꿔?
The Enchanter's crafting bench replaces the normal crafting bench in your hideout with a suite of tools fit for a master artisan. The various crafting stations burst into life as you use them. If you've ever wanted to remind your character who's really in charge, the Puppeteer's back attachment has you covered. It truly is the sinister presence pulling the strings. These new packs are available right now at pathofexile.com.
와, 이거 서포터 팩은 둘 다 너무
Purchases like these
너무
directly
이쁜데?
fund the ongoing development of Path of Exile 1 and 2.
아, 근데 이거 코어 서포터 팩
Meanwhile,
아직 다 못
Forge and Gemini packs
사가지고.
leave the store forever at the launch of the
아,
Crucible
지금
League,
돈이
so now's your
없어가지고
last chance to
참
purchase them.
애매하네요.
Thank you for your
고민해야겠네.
continued support.
자, 오늘은 이제 이렇게 라이브 스트림 영상을 한번 같이 살펴봤습니다. 뭐 자세한 수치나 이런 거는 패치 노트를 읽어봐야 알겠는데 저는 이제 출근 준비를 해야 돼가지고 그 퇴근하고 나서 패치 노트를 한번 읽어보면서 이런 영상을 한번 또 만들어 볼지 어떨지 그때 가서 조금 생각을 해볼 거고요. 일단 뭐 영상만 봤을 때는 역시나 이런 라이브 스트림 영상은 제 기대를 저버리지 않는군요. 저한테 있어서 패스 오브 엑자일은 상당히 갓게임이기 때문에 패치 노트에서 어떤 짓을 했을지 모르지만 그래도 이것만 봤을 때는 너무너무 기대되고 재미있는 또 리그가 되고 그 시즌이 될 것 같습니다. 여러분의 의견이 어떤지 알려주시면 저도 그 의견에 댓글을 달아드리도록 하겠습니다. 시청해주셔서 정말 감사하고요. 나중에 패치 노트 볼 때 다시 돌아오도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.